of the Special Forces Business Solutions Sapphire, and I earned the 2019 LOJ Award for the company as the #1 field trainer. I earned my 1000 App Award, Production Award, Achievement Award, and a lot of those was on my vision board. Just love CDLP. I love this space, building on the networking side as well. But it's these mentors like Lamar, Dunbar, Christy Lee that has poured into me. And just 2 years ago, just decided to focus more on this space. And, you know, like what I love about this space, it's the fact that, you know, we're helping these individuals, but what I found my niche is, you know, just cross-selling, serving that individual and the drivers in this industry. And so, like I say, great mentors. This call here was a great help for me. We didn't always have this call, so I appreciate, you know, Lamar and Dunbar and Frank and them for starting this, because it really is a game changer here. So I do host the accountability call on Thursday night. I would say it's a spinoff of this. It's for those individuals who are actually moving in the space and would like some accountability. And so we have that at 9:30 on Thursday night. Under announcements, it's a tab there for you to register. You click on a picture, fill in your information, and subscribe at the left-hand corner. And we'd like for you to show up, you know. Over there we talk, and, you know, really it's like a mastermind, but those people are really doing some phenomenal things, opening some groups, and so couldn't be more proud of them. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to you, Lamar.
Okay, Sherranda, thank you so much. And I like this Zoom. This is going to be great. Yeah, I'm based out of Houston, Texas, down in the southern part of Texas. And I've been with Legal Shield for 14 years. And I've been a trainer for a little over 10, about 10 and a half years. And I've been selling the CDLP membership for 11 years now. And ladies and gentlemen, by selling the CDLP membership, I've been able to get my 50,000K ring. And also the very next year, I went to 100,000K ring. And I did that by selling the CDLP membership. I did break the 5,000 membership. That was my goal at the end of last year. Didn't quite hit it in 2019, but I did accomplish that in the first quarter. I'm part of the Special Forces and also part of the Solution Emerald Elites. And for 2020, I have a distinct honor of being a lobby banner participant in the home office. And that's where they hang up my picture, and I've got a little statement down there at the bottom. So if any of you are visiting the home office, be sure and snap that picture of me and text it to me. And I'll just say this, I was able to do that by selling the CDLP membership. So all of that was made possible for running in the lane of transportation and selling all the other products, but doing it in the lane of transportation. So back over to you, Mr. Robert.
Dunbar.
Yeah. So are there any other trainers on the line? Any other trainers? Do we see any other jump on? Let me see something. I just want to make sure we're not leaving anybody out. I'm kind of looking at two screens here, guys. So be patient. I got the YouTube screen up too. So
I don't see any other ones.
Nobody else? Okay. I just don't want to leave nobody out. I know sometimes Frankie and John will jump on. Okay. All right. So today we've got a couple of different things we're going to be going over. One is going to be Appreciation Week. Sherranda is going to be talking a little bit about that. I'm sure it's going to be some input from the other trainers as well. And also, Mr. Lamar Reynolds has some things he's going to be talking about, and he's going to do a little bit of screen sharing on a document as well. So we're gonna get moving in that. Then we're probably gonna answer a few questions on top of that for some of you all. So make sure you put your questions in the chat so we can answer your questions on some things. I believe though, Lamar, and you let me know whether you want to do this, Lamar, when it comes to you sharing your information, if you want to talk about how to use that with a safety manager and use either Sharon or Sherranda as role play, where y'all both y'all screens up, y'all act like, you know, one is the safety manager and one is the associate. And I'm assuming Lamar's gonna act like the associate since he's got the material to share. I would have done that with your brother, but yeah, not tonight. So we'll get that set up, but we'll put Sherranda on first. We always like to do ladies first. So Sherranda, you want to talk about Appreciation Week and how you've been creative with that, some different things that we could be doing. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to you. Floor is yours.
Well, I mean, I just brought it up. One thing, I saw it out there. You know, Alan Roman, he's been posting on the page a lot, and it is Truckers Appreciation Week. Last year, I actually went to, I guess, one of my biggest companies that allowed me to go into the driver's lounge. Spent 2 days with them, and they had a big, you know, cookout for their drivers. And me and my workout partner, you know, just fell into the rotation. We helped them cook, you know, we helped serve the drivers, and just made some connections. We were able to talk to the people, you know, in the office from other terminals that had came in as well. But I thought it would be good tonight to talk about it, Lamar and Dunbar, because we're in COVID. So, you know, for those that may be like me, I'm not going out into the field working. So I know Lamar and a lot, you know, some of the other associates are out there, so maybe they can talk on what they're doing. But one thing that I started this weekend was, it's an app out there called Punch Bowl. And I actually went ahead and paid for the year. And you can do digital cards. So I sent out about 5 on last night. Just thank you cards for, you know, them being, you know, commercial drivers and servicing the community. Now I have, I know Lamar probably got thousands and thousands and thousands of drivers. I don't have a lot, you know, I have a lot of members, but, you know, my database isn't even half of my drivers. So I chose some of my drivers, whether they, I got some drivers refer people to me all the time. I got this one guy referred 4 drivers. I wrote 4 plans last week from one guy that just referred people to me. So I, you know, one of those cards was for him. I did Amazon and I did Panera Bread on yesterday. Those were the 2 companies I used, but they have different choices out there that you can pay, and it's a digital gift card, and you can text it to them or email it to them. But I texted to my drivers and, you know, let them know that it was a gift card, and they could spend it at that business that I actually I use Amazon and Panera. So so that's what I'll be doing this week. I'm gonna send some of it to some of my safety managers, you know, that have allowed me to come in earlier this year and last year since the last appreciation week. But my main goal is to send it to really the company that I get the most business from. I'm going to send it out to them, and I'm going to send it out to individuals that actually send me a lot of referrals. So that's how I'm doing Truckers Appreciation Week this week. I'm doing it virtually, and I'm using that platform called punchbowl.com. Thank you, Sharon, for putting that out there for me. They give you 3 days free or whatever, but it's just a certain amount of cards you can send. And it's for any occasion, but I'm using the thank you cards this week for the Truckers Appreciation. So that's how I am doing it this year for Truckers Appreciation, because I'm still working 100% at home. So Lamar, I pass it over to you. I see Randy Hooker's on the phone, and if anybody else have any creative ideas, Dunbar, you know, since we're in COVID. And also, I talked to a prospect on last week, and he was first time I ever called a guy, cold call. And, you know, we just had a great conversation. I'm supposed to follow up with him Thursday, but the thing I will say to him when he picks up the phone on Thursday is I just want to say Happy Truckers Appreciation Week to you. You know, and so that's just some dialogue you can use, and people appreciate that you thought enough of them to recognize that. So I'll throw it over to you, Lamar, for any of your comments.
Okay, so I'll talk a little bit and then I'll throw it over to Frankie. But during the COVID, it's just an excellent time to go to Facebook and grab these articles that we have made available to you folks. And even though the road check was last week, it's just a great time you could also send this article back out, okay, to open up the conversation. And the way you would do it, Sherranda, is, okay, how did you come through last week with road check? Did you have very many stops? Did you have any tickets? So use this information, ladies and gentlemen, to even though the blitz was last week, you can get into the discussion of really what happened for that particular company. So this is low-hanging fruit this week. And like Sherranda says, you know, she's not leaving. And so you got to kind of get creative. You got to do Zoom. You got to do emails. I just do a lot of emails and articles. Okay. So that keeps me in touch with my customers. And today I met a new customer online. Started off with a phone call. And then I emailed like 3 different times, and tomorrow I hope to close it. She is telling me that she will have the applications ready for me tomorrow, so I'm hoping to close that. So you can actually remotely open groups, and I sent her the group authorization sheet today to sign and fill out, and tomorrow, hopefully, as I call her first thing in the morning, she'll send me the applications and the authorization sheet. So there's a lot of different ways you can go to market. But for me, I have about 5 accounts that I go to weekly for new driver orientation classes. Now, out of that 5, I only have 2 that I can go to, Sherranda. And other than that, I mean, it's pretty well shut down far as group meetings out there. I mean, safety meetings are gone.
Right.
I mean, they're just gone. So if you're plugged in to new driver orientation classes, that's where you're going to write some memberships. And I have 2 of my 5 that I can go to and do presentations. So my business is way off in terms of writing the memberships. But like Sherranda is talking about referrals, and I really would like to turn everybody on to referrals. So I know you have written memberships. Call that driver back and ask them for referrals. Sherranda got 4 memberships from 1 driver. And I ask for referrals all the time.
Right.
And it really works. So that's kind of how, we're talking about selling strategies in the midst of the COVID-19. So that is what I would really suggest for you folks. That's the way I go to market now. And it's a lot different because I usually get up early in the morning and I'm gone. I'm out of the house. I'm knocking on doors, going up and down the street, Sherranda, and I'm going into prospects. I'm going into my trucking companies, and I'm selling all of these different products, but I'm running in the lane of transportation. And you can see behind me, I'm in a company that's got 4 little trucks. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, about this company. It's a small company. And I'm going to turn it over to Frankie first to get some selling strategies. But I've got some new information that is happening of what the DOT is doing in the midst of this COVID-19. And I'd like to share all that with you. And then maybe after I share, maybe me and Sherranda can do a little role playing concerning this information. So back over to you, Sherranda, or to Frankie.
Frankie's on?
No, I didn't. I didn't see Frankie on.
I want to piggyback off what you said, Lamar. So those referrals, guys, I think I shared that with Teresa West today. Those referrals, like Lamar was talking about, he goes into new hire orientation. I have 2 companies that I do. And so I don't go to their new hire anymore. The driver manager, he actually sends me the file that he has on his computer of his new drivers. Well, when I was going into new hire orientation every week to this company, it was a driver in one of the presentations. Now, this guy doesn't have my membership, but he sat there and he listened to the plan, and he is the one that referred 4 people to me last week. And I mean, he does it all the time, but you know, when they don't think they needed it, you know, I used to try to sell them all, but it's like, okay, if you don't think you need it, so be it. But that guy, he sat there and listened to my presentation, and he shares it with everybody he talks to that feel like they have a problem. And so last week, he sent me 4 referrals, and he still to this day doesn't have my plan, but he got a text last night with a gift card, you know, just to show my appreciation for that. But, you know, you just don't know, you know, the ears that our information will fall on, what it'll do for you. So don't be scared to ask for referrals, guys. I mean, it could be to a person you're selling a family plan to if you really want to play in this space. Just ask for the referral, you know. But so Dunbar, is it okay to turn it over? Randy, you got some suggestions? We can let Randy Hooker chime in if he wants to.
Yeah, I got Randy unmuted so he could chime, not unmuted, but I got him set up where he can talk too. I know he does that too. Randy, if you want to chime in on Customer Appreciation Week, what you doing during COVID?
Randy Hooker.
Yeah, what did I say? I'm sorry.
I don't know. He got Randy Hooker. We don't unmuted you, so we want you to talk too.
Well, I have a referral sheet, and I just sent it to Lamar, but I have a referral sheet that I use too. And of course, in my company that I'll be working with, we have a driver orientation tomorrow, and we do a driver orientation with that company on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we've had anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 drivers, both Tuesday and Thursday for the last 2 to 3 months. So that's the main one that I'm doing a actual presentation in. And of course, last week, we were going to be out this week quite a little bit in the Midland, Odessa area working over there. And I have a problem with one of my feet. And so I'm not going to be able to get out probably till next week, but we will be going back out. As far as that goes, 80% of that is open. They're not holding safety meetings that much, but we do get to go in and talk with safety managers and set things up. So that, and then of course, I'm going to try to work with the company tomorrow and see if we can set up a time to do some appreciation later this week. They have a yard over in Midland, Odessa, and they have one here. And so we're going to see if we can correlate one day and then the next to the driver appreciation for them.
Okay, awesome. Awesome sauce. So Lamar, you want to thank you, Randy, for sharing that. And Lamar, you want to go into what you want to talk about tonight?
Yes, and before I do, I just want to say Randy Hooker is my hero. He came to one of my classes, and this was the beginning of last year. I think it was in the December of the year before that, of 2019. But in a period of 1 year, ladies and gentlemen, he has really got plugged into transportation. He's recruited a couple of people, got up to executive director, and I believe the people he recruited got up to director or maybe even higher. But he has really come on strong. So the reason I tell you this story to impress upon you that if you just, as the saying that Sherranda, just do it. Just get out there and do it. And you will have a lot of success. But tonight, I'm going to do a screen share. And I'm going to bring up an article that I ran across that the DOT audits, the way they're doing DOT audits in the COVID-19. Okay? And we can really use this information to go back in and prepare our small companies. Like this little company here with 4 trucks, they are a big target. So the DOT is targeting these small companies. So I'm gonna go into a screen share and pull this up. And I'm going to scroll down here and I'm gonna make this large so you folks can see it. But this is concerning the DOT and what they're doing. I'm just gonna put it in perspective for you. Let's see here. The US DOT in 2020 has increased targeted trucking companies with compliance reviews conducted via email and telephone in place of on-site reviews in which inspectors show up in person. So ladies and gentlemen, what they're doing, it's like you getting an email from the IRS saying, please explain this. And you got to send them an email or you got to call them back to explain it. And that's what the DOT is doing. So if you look up here at this chart, let me get my little cursor here, if you can see that. This time last year, this is through July the 31st. They had 1,374 audits this year, almost 3 times that many for 3,582. So this is the new thing in the midst of COVID, ladies and gentlemen. The DOT auditors are getting very aggressive. They don't have to walk in. They don't have to get in their little car and drive down to the account. They can just pull you up and email you, or they can call you, and the account has to respond. All right. So I'm just going to go on down just a little bit further here. And I'm just going
do not fear.
to read a couple. MCSA and its state enforcement partners this year already has conducted nearly 3 times, and get that off of there, 3 times the number of remote audits conducted in 2019. So they call them remote audits. 3,582 through the end of July of this year compared to 1,374 in all of, that's the whole year, in 2019. Okay. So if that trend holds, the FMCSA and the state partners will have conducted 6,175 remote offsite inspections by year end. That would be more than 5 times as many last year, and the more than half on pace for 12,000 compliance reviews. Last year, just 10% of the total compliance reviews conducted by the FMCSA and the state partners were off-site. In 2018, just 2% of the compliance reviews were conducted via off-site process. Now, this next thing I'm going to show you is it's gonna really open your eyes of what the DOT is doing to our small transportation companies. And I want you to look at this. Now, in the red, this is companies from 1 to 6 units. And you can see 3,766. From 7 to 20 drivers, 1,911. And the blue here from 21 to 100 drivers makes up this. But the ones with 100 and more, look at there, it's a very small amount. So right here, the smallest carriers, according to the FMCSA data, bear the brunt of all compliance reviews conducted. Truckers with 6 trucks or fewer in 2020 have accounted for 54% of all audits. So, ladies and gentlemen, this country is just loaded with these little trucking companies out here with 10 or less drivers. And the DOT is really targeting them because why? We have to ask ourselves why? Because they really don't have a good, let's say, qualified safety director that had experience.
Right.
And they're getting a lot of audits or a lot of tickets, should I say. So those with 7 to 20 trucks have accounted for 28%. Those shared in line with recent years splits there. So there it is right there. That really tells you the story from 1 to 6 drivers, power units. 54% of all the audits are coming from that group. Okay. And down here, 28% of all the audits done is 1,911. So let's add this up. 28 and 54, what is that? 12, 72 of all the audits done is less than 20 drivers or 20 trucks in a fleet. That's astounding to me to really realize what the DOT is really doing out there. So there you go. Let's come on down because I want to connect all the little dots for you all the way through this. And where we, the selling strategy we need in this. And said to further off audits in the first place, he suggested regularly checking the CSA scores. That's what we do. We go into the DOT website and to the Safer, and we check those scores. Log in, review your data, he says. Look at the trends. That's what the DOT auditors are doing. That's the same thing that I'm doing, and Mr. Randy Hooker's doing, and Sherranda's doing, and many of you that are on this Zoom call here tonight. Review all the data that can be reviewed. Take advantage of the crash accountability program and have crashes that are clearly not preventable removed. And I had one of those this week that I met with a driver, of which a truck came up behind, a pickup truck came up from behind him in the mirror. You know, some of these pickup trucks, 3/4 ton and 1 ton, they got mirrors that stick out 2 foot. Well, he was pulling a container and it hit the back end of his trailer. Well, they gave him a crash. They wrote it up as a crash report because this little truck, it pulled over. The 18-wheeler, my customer pulled over. The mirror, they just snapped it back in place. It just popped the mirror out. It snapped it back in place. He said, hey, there's no damage. Matter of fact, the police didn't even write a ticket, but he did an accident report. And that turned into a crash report. It's on his record, and the company has given him a lot of heat on it. So take steps to address what violations you can keep your score down. So that's what I want to talk about. So what is the value of the CDLP program? So we take these tickets, we adjudicate them in court. So that's the way CDLP can help remove the points, the CSA points, off of the score for the driver and for this particular company. And these little small companies with 4 trucks, 10 trucks, they don't take very many roadside inspections. And these scores are going through the ceiling, and the insurance rates are really tapping them. So I believe that's all I had highlighted. Okay, so this last little paragraph, I mean, this is from the auditor telling this is the way they do it. They check the CSA scores and take advantage of the crash accountability program. So they're looking at the CSA scores and the crash report. And Mr. Randy knows you can scroll all the way down below the roadside inspections, and there you see the crash reports for a company. Okay. So if you hadn't discovered that, pretty soon, I'm going to get Mr. Robert. We're going to do another recorded safer of how we go in and we profile the account and classify it as a prospect instead of a suspect, and really look at the roadside inspections. And I'm going to show you in this one, which is going to be a little bit different than we did the other ones. We're going to go through the violations. We'll go through the roadside inspections, and then we're going to come down and look at the crash, because those stay there, I believe, 5 years. Is that right, Mr. Randy? 5 years? Okay. Yes, sir. I thought so. 5 years there, they're going to stay on the record. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just go back up and look. This is where the rubber meets the road. And I believe that was 72%.
82.
72% of all the accounts you're probably prospecting is in from 1 to 20 drivers. And the DOT is working that group over. Mr. Randy, did you have something?
I said that's 82% for one thing. And then
Yeah.
also, whenever I do my presentation, one of the things you're talking about this accident staying on their record for 5 years and what have you. One of the things that I always bring up is 90% of the drivers, the record drivers that move a big semi, almost always record that as a accident.
Yeah.
That's what they're used to moving them as. If they move them back on the road from sliding off in ice, or if they move them back on the road from sliding off in mud or a wet road, even though it may not be listed as an accident with the officers, the record driver will list that as an accident, and it goes on that driver's record for 5 years. And I'll always point that out in my
Damage your eyes.
presentation.
How's it going to damage your eyes?
Because it's a prescription.
It is.
Their
It's
eyesight's
not going
already
to damage.
bad.
It's not going to damage your eyes, babe. When we putting it on there for 1 second and taking a picture,
Google it. You Google everything else.
it's not going to damage your eyes. I don't need to Google it. You Google it.
You Google it.
I got it fixed, guys. Y'all can go ahead. I'm sorry. Somebody was muted.
Okay, Lamar, you guys unmute yourselves. Okay, there you go. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Randy, for the input there. But Randy was pointing out that's 82% of all the trucking companies out there fall in these two categories. And I just dare say that from 1 to 20, that's where you really need to start your prospecting off at. And the DOT is really targeting this group of trucking companies, okay? And you can see the intensity of that right here in this little graph, that they're running 3 times as many audits as they did this time last year. So me and Sherranda was talking about being creative, in the COVID. Well, the DOT is very creative too. And so they're taking advantage of this opportunity through emails and phone calls to audit these prospects that we're calling on and your customers. And if you'll notice right here, off-site.
Who is that?
So they're doing this off-site and remotely. And that means, most probably a good bit of their time is in the car driving. And now, it's just, once they click on this account, send them an email, they're on to the next one and the next one and the next one. So this is going to be very aggressive. So Sherranda, before I click off of this, did you have any comments on it?
Well, I will say that, this is my fire pit. I love 1 to 10 companies. And, when you taught me how to do this a couple of years ago, right from my office, you can remember that that first company you talked me through on Safer, that guy got audited. You said to me, you said, well, Sherranda, has he been audited? And I said, I don't think so. And you said, well, tell him with his numbers as bad as they are, that he probably had a red bullseye on his truck. And every time his trucks would roll, they're probably pulling him over. So that was the conversation I had with this gentleman when I called him back to talk about his scores. And sure enough, about 2 weeks later, he got audited. And those first companies that you talked me through had, so that guy had about 4 drivers, and the next company, it had 3 drivers, and they all had got audited because their scores were just off, off the chain. But these guys get audited a lot. I have a lot of companies that have been audited because their scores are so high. And I will say today, one of my companies referred his brother to me. And I hear a lot of associates say to me, I talk to somebody and they have one of those other companies, or, they have that other plan, or they have somebody that has helped them before in the past. And you hear that because these guys don't know we exist. And so therefore they'll go and pay an attorney hundreds of dollars to go to court for them. That attorney will go to court for them, get that violation changed, but never get it data queued. So this guy was calling me because he had paid an attorney over, I think he said it was $470 some
Yep.
for the attorney fees, and he had to pay $300 and some for the ticket. But that 15-mile over speeding ticket was still on his record, and he lost his job, and he had applied for 2 other jobs, and they sent him a letter and told them that they weren't going to hire him. And that was because he still had that violation on his record, because that attorney didn't data queue it off. So you got to have more conversations with people to realize that, what they have probably isn't working for them.
Sherranda, what you're saying, if you happen to go into the SMS and you're checking it, and it looks like they're getting a lot of roadside inspections and a lot of violations, you can make an assumption right there on the spot that in the midst of an audit, or already gone through an audit, or about to go through an audit.
And I look at that, Lamar. I do. I look at that.
Yeah.
I look at, have they ever been rated, or they ever been through an audit? And depending on how bad their scores are, that's a question I ask. Knowing that they haven't, because it doesn't show it, but I bring it up to them because I tell them your scores are really bad. So DOT is really watching you. So you really need to get these scores under control. So, yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got your cell phone out, you see I positioned this little graph here so you can take a picture of it. Take a picture of that with your phone. That gives you right there what is happening. So I'll give you just a couple of seconds to take a picture, and then I'm going to scroll down and we're going to get the other graph.
Mr. Reynolds?
Yes.
This is Sharon. Somebody put it in the chat for this article. I know that we have some people that dialed into the line. I don't know, Mr. Dunbar, if you're able to put that into the file section, because we have about 7 to 10 people that's dialed in, so they can't see it.
Yes, and I will make that available to Robert. But if you just happen, and I know Sherranda, she's always got everything on that phone. So take a picture of that, snap that little graph there, and that it gives a little statement underneath there. So I'm gonna give you 5 more seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we're gonna scroll down. And here comes the other one. And there you go. And you see right below it there, when you snap the picture, it's going to give the information about the 1 to 6 is 54% of the audits, and for 7 to 20 trucks is 28%. So as Mr. Randy pointed out, that is 82% of all the trucking companies out there that they're auditing from 1 to 20 trucks. So there you go. There is the information for you. So now, maybe there's some of you that have a question of how we're going to use this. And so Sherranda, why don't we just go through a little example here
Okay.
of how, maybe I'm the associate
Okay.
and there you are, you're in the trucking company, and I just walked in and there you are, you're a trucking company with, let's say 6 trucks. And I'm walking in and I just say, Sherranda, I happened to pull your SMS report. I took a look at it and I found a lot of opportunities that Legal Shield can really help your drivers and your company. And as you know, if we can reverse these points off of your driver's score, CSA score, it'll come off of your company's safety record. That's what your customers look at, and it's what your insurance rates are based on. But Sherranda, would you like to know if your company is being targeted or not by the DOT?
Absolutely. How you know that, sir?
Well, I have a little article here I'd like to show you. This is the DOT information that I'm showing you here, this little graph.
Okay.
And they're doing what they call off-site audits. That means now during the COVID, the agents cannot come out and walk into your facility now and do on-site audits. So they're doing it over the computer and over the phone. And so you can see this time last year through July, they had 1,374 audits completed. And this time through July this year, they've got 3,582. And if they keep up the same rate, they're going to have 6,942 for the year. Now, your company, I wanted to show you another little graph. Your company falls right in here with 1 to 6 power units. Now, that is still correct, right? You still got 6 trucks?
Right. We got 6.
Okay. So you can see right here, your 6 trucks, that is the red part, and 54% of all the audits is done in this area.
Wow.
And I want you to look at the disparity. Now, that's a good word to use. Look at the disparity between your size of company to other sizes of companies out there. And you can see, and you may feel like, do you feel like there's a target on your back today?
Oh, yeah. We get pulled over all the time for the littlest things. They always, as they say, nitpicking.
Okay. Have you gone through an audit yet?
No, sir, not yet. And I was really thinking that, we were going to miss it since we were in a pandemic. So, no, I hadn't got a call, but I sure hadn't seen anybody, but I haven't got a call either. So I was hoping they wouldn't do it at this time.
What the DOT is doing, they're going into are you familiar with the SAFER?
The what?
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I've got my laptop, I brought it with me, and I'm going to open it up and I'm going to go into the DOT website. This is what the DOT officers out there on the street, when he's driving down the road going 70 miles an hour, he's got that little computer there, and he can just reach over there and put in your DOT number and hit submit. And I'm going to show you what he's looking at.
Okay.
You kind of feel like there's a target on your back right now. Well, he's looking at your violations in the last 24 months, and he's looking at all the inspections you went through in the last 24 months. And he sees that, and he sees that you got a safety alert on 3 categories: vehicle maintenance, hours of service, and let's say hazmat, because you're a hazmat carrier. So you got 3 categories there that you got safety alerts in. And so what they're doing, they're picking your trucks out as you're going down the road based on the score. And once the officers pulled over one of your trucks, they're looking for other trucks from your company. And I hate to say it that way, but
Yeah.
you do have a bullseye on your back. And I wanted to just come to your facility here today and to show you that you should be looking at maybe enrolling all of your drivers in my program. And that way we can start to remove the CSA points that is going into the driver score and into your company safety stats by just adjudicating the tickets. That means fighting the tickets in court.
Y'all
And if
can do
you-
that, even though, you know, my guys, they speed and, you know, they do some crazy stuff. How you gonna do that?
Yeah. So even though they're doing crazy stuff, they're getting tickets, and that ticket is written in their name. Now, like I tell drivers, you know, say, well, I know I was speeding, I was
Right.
guilty. And, you know, Mr. Reynolds, I guess I'll just pay that. Don't just pay these tickets.
Right.
We want to fight these tickets because there's a lot of different ways we get tickets dismissed. It could be the officer didn't show up for court. It could be that he didn't calibrate his radar gun.
Right.
There's a lot of different things. My attorney in that jurisdiction may know the judge. He may know the prosecuting attorney. And so there's a lot of different ways. It's just like being a good attorney is knowing the law, but being a great attorney is knowing the judge or the prosecuting attorney. Okay. And that's what Legal Shield does, because we adjudicate that in the local jurisdiction of that ticket.
So we over the road. So y'all got you have attorney. I can have access to those attorneys over the road.
Say that again, Neil.
You know, we're over the road. So, you know,
Yes.
we're in different states. So, and also, I mean, can I see that report you see?
Yes, I can make that available to you. But the beautiful thing about Legal Shield,
Mm-hmm.
we have got an attorney network all the way across the country, and any county or jurisdiction of a court, we have a local attorney that can represent your driver in that jurisdiction. So that's the beautiful thing about Legal Shield. And it has taken us years to put this together. And I just might add, you know, when the CDL license came out in 1986,
Mm-hmm.
we've been selling, Legal Shield has been selling the CDLP membership since 19 license came out. And it was designed, Sherranda, to protect your driver. And that's what we're all about, is protecting your driver and keeping his driving record clean as he works for your company. Because some drivers cannot get jobs because their record has got too many points on it. So that's another reason. So I would like to give you some applications
Mm-hmm.
and brochures. And do you think you may be interested in and really getting your drivers in this program and addressing the scores? So hopefully we can head off one of these audits, which we see they're doing a bunch of them, and your company is in the crosshairs of an audit as well as being targeted on the highways. So it's just a matter of time before you're audited. So would you like to address that problem before it hits you?
Absolutely. So how much would that be per driver, sir?
That is $29.95, and that is a total tax write-off for your driver. So they can write that off as a business expense, And we've got these Legal Shield perks.
Mm-hmm.
These are discounts that drivers get off their cell phone, against off of the advanced auto parts. We have over 800 different companies, and the average saving per driver is $49 a month. So the $49 discounts that they save off their cell phone and advanced auto parts and different things is going to be more than what it costs, $29.95. So why not enroll all your drivers? As a company, you can pay for their memberships, or you can just let the driver participate in that with their credit card, debit card, or bank, and they can enroll and they can write it off, and then they can offset the cost, and they can enjoy the benefits of this program. So, you know, if you ever been pulled over for speeding,
Yeah, absolutely.
and what happens? Your heart starts to beating real fast when you see those lights flashing back behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
it really is nerve wracking when and these commercial drivers feel the same way. Oh no, this is happening again.
right.
But if you have this membership, you can have the peace of mind knowing no matter what happens in this roadside inspection, Legal Shield has got my back.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
would you, does that make you feel a little better?
Yeah, it does. I probably pay for that for my driver. So, you know, so I can, cause it's affecting my insurance rates, and, I mean, I talked to him about it, but I definitely probably go ahead and pay for it. I didn't know nothing like that existed. I just, they just kept bringing in those citations, and we kept, just paying them. So,
Well, I'll tell you what, today is Thursday.
mhm,
I'm going to leave you 6 applications and brochures for your drivers.
okay,
As your drivers come in, because I know some of your drivers are out on the road, as they come in, today and Friday and the weekend, you can grab them, give them the brochure, kind of go through this and fill out the application and have that ready for me on Monday. And when I come to pick up the applications, I want to be able to give them the discounted price. Instead of paying $32.95 with a $25 enrollment fee, your driver, Sherranda, is going to get that for $29.95. So that's going to be a great savings for them. And within 10 days of enrolling in our program, there's no attorney fee for your driver if they get a ticket. Now, if he's sitting there and has already got a ticket, they'll get a 25% off of the attorney fee on a pre-existing ticket, or if they get a ticket in the 10-day waiting period.
right.
So that way we got you covered, even if they got tickets or don't have tickets. This is a great program, and it's a great way to enter the benefits of the CDLP program. So let me leave that with you. And would it be okay if I come back on Monday, maybe around 10 o'clock to pick up these applications?
That'd be great. I have them filled out for you, and if any of my guys don't come in this weekend, I'll go ahead. I have all the information in their driver file.
So
And,
you have 2 options, Sherranda.
Mhm.
You can either save those, and I can come back at 10 o'clock, or if you prefer during the COVID, you can just scan and email me those applications to my email address.
Okay, I can do that. I sure can.
Okay, so let's just set it up that way. You just email me the applications. I will email you the enrollment form, the volunteer group volunteer form enrollment to actually issue that special discount for your company. So I'll be emailing that to you today. And then by Monday, if you'll get the applications and email back, we'll get you all set up.
Awesome, awesome. Can you
I'll tell you what, Sherranda, since I'm talking to you today, why don't you go ahead and put the date on all the applications today?
Okay.
All
Well,
right?
let me ask you a question. Since you say you see so many bad scores, will they help me with my scores that are already there? What happens with that, or can they go back and look at my record that you're looking at
Well,
and help me?
yes, and let me just point this out to you. So let's say some of your drivers over the past couple of years, they have actually got an attorney on their own. And listen, and there was an order of dismissal issued for that ticket. If we can go back, if you can ask your drivers over the past 2 years, if they had any tickets that they got dismissed, we want the order of dismissal.
Okay.
Once we get the order of dismissal, Sherranda, I'll come in and I'll show you how to do that data queue paperwork to get them removed. How does that sound?
That sounds good. That sounds good. I got a driver right now that just paid an attorney, and it's still showing up, he said, on his record. So yeah.
Okay, so there you go. This will be a great game plan to address these points, and hopefully to head off any audits that may be coming your way. So I think this is a great decision on your part. So thank you so much.
Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you.
Yes.
Appreciate you for calling. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop the share.
That's good. We had a question about the small business plan fighting tickets, and I think that was Dan Nix asked that. I will say, guys, just be careful when you're selling that small business plan. I sell a lot of small business plan and trucking companies. But what I learned is that you have to be really careful, because that owner, his company is very important to him. And if all he hears is business plan, business, he's thinking about his company. And maybe you already started the conversation about fighting the DOT violations. And all he hears is fighting those violations and you saying you got a business plan. And he'll think that business plan will fight those violations if you don't make that clear and you don't keep that separate, when you're cross-selling. Because that small business plan does not fight violations. That CDLP plan is what fights those violations. And if you sell that business plan and he doesn't have a CDLP plan in there on his drivers, and he think that when he gets a violation that business plan is going to help him, he's going to be mad with you and he'll drop that plan. So don't go in, if you're not versed on it or can make that clear, try to just sell one at a time and work on one, because you will get them confused, because at the end of the day, that owner is only worried about his company. And you're talking business plan and violations, and he feel like, well, I ain't worried about the drivers. I'm going to take care of my company, and that's not how it works. So, but our business plan help with covering them with trial defense and business coverage and debt collection if they don't have a factoring company and all that stuff, but nothing to do with those violations. I just want to make that clear. So, any other question?
I want to run through a couple of these questions, Sherranda and Lamar. And we can real quickly just give a quick answer on some of them. Some of them have already been answered, but if y'all already answered it, just ignore it. I'm gonna read a couple of them real quickly. Somebody asked about how to, excuse me guys if I don't remember who asked, because I'm just trying to get through it real quickly because we're kind of out of time. Somebody asked about how do you get the list? Like how are you guys getting the list of drivers from the safety manager?
Well, I get a lot of lists. So when I call and talk to the owner, because like I say, Lamar named out the sweet spot, and those are my sweet spots. And I get the list all the time from them asking the owner, if I could get a census report of your drivers, I'll contact your drivers and go over the plan with them. I'll get them, signed up. All I need is a census report. And that census report can look like anything. It could be just a name and a number. Sometimes they'll send you whatever they've had them to fill out, when they hired them, like a contact sheet. But, I just ask for it, because if you build a relationship with the owner or that safety manager and you take that stress off of them, they'll send it to you. I mean, I haven't had a whole lot of problems not getting them after I've made the value proposition with the safety manager or the owner. So I'll go pass that over to Lamar on his take on what he does, but that's how I do it.
Yes, and that's one way. So if you don't ask, you don't get them. If you ask, some will give it to you. And I will say most will give it to you.
Mhm.
Now, if you want to narrow it down just a little bit, if that person is savvy on the computer and knows about the SMS, they can go in there and pull out the drivers that
Yep.
are getting these tickets. So give me a list of the drivers that are getting these roadside inspections over the past 24 months. Give me a list of those guys, because I can almost assure you the 80-20 rule applies. 20% of the drivers are getting 80% of the tickets. So give me that list and let me start with that, sir, because those people need me the most. So that's another thought. Okay, Sherranda, I mean, if they give you the whole roster, that's even better. I mean,
Right.
you can ask that first, and if there's a hesitation in it, just come back real quick before they say no. Just come back real quick and say, well, how about the drivers that are getting the tickets? Let me help you. Let me show you how to look those up, and you can give me a list of those. So there you go. That would be another quick way to address that, Mr. Robert. Next question.
Dunbar, I'll answer the question. AJ asked about would CDLP help with tax garnishment. That's why I sell the HBS with the legal plan. I add that to it because they're 1099s, and that covers that Schedule C, that home-based business supplement. So that's why I sell the family plan and the home-based business supplement with those drivers. That's the part of our plan that helps them with tax garnishments.
All right, good stuff. It was another question. I answered it, but I'm gonna throw it out here. I mentioned something to Pat. Pat asked about Lamar Reynolds saying that they could write the membership, the CDLP membership off. And Pat was asking, can they do it if they're not an owner operator?
Well, they can do it as an owner operator. They can do it as a company driver. They can do it. I mean, we're running into these little companies of one truck company. They can write it off if they actually own the company and they got a CDLP membership. If they got the CDLP membership, that is tax deductible. And so you can write that off as a business expense. So yes, Mr. Robert, regardless of what your status is, if it's an owner operator, company driver, or owner, you can write it off if you've got that membership.
Also, the legal plan is able to be written off if they're bought together because of what it covers for them too.
That's a very good point, Mr. Randy. And so what we're giving you some real nuggets here tonight. I mean, this has been a great call. And especially the small trucking companies that we're calling on. I mean, this is really awesome information. And once you get in there, just like Sherranda was asking, well, give me a list of the roster of your drivers. And what Mr. Randy's talking about, if you're running in this lane of transportation, you got the opportunity to sell the small business plan, the legal plan, and the CDLP plan, and ID Shield plan. I mean, you can sell it all. So it's a win-win, Mr. Robert. It's a win-win for everybody. But we're talking about really helping the company and the driver.
Good stuff. So real quickly, for those who are listening in and you're not looking because you're dialed into the Zoom, not on the Zoom, the Facebook page now has the link to that article that you couldn't see. So if you go to the Facebook page, just click on the link and it'll open up to the article for those people. Last thing real quickly, how far back can we go to get accidents removed? And how does your legal plan help since there's no ticket?
Well,
about warnings. What was that, Dunbar?
How far can you go back to get crashes removed. And hold on, how far back did you get crashes to move? Let me go back. I want to make sure I'm reading it verbatim. Give me 1 second, because I want to make sure I'm reading exactly what they said. How far back can we go to get accidents removed? And does our legal plan help since there is no ticket?
Well, I don't think you've got too much luck of removing a crash unless a ticket is written. So if a ticket is written in the opinion of the officer, let's say he felt that you were at fault and he gave you a ticket for not maintaining your lane or maintaining speed. And so the key to all of this is fighting and adjudicating that ticket, okay, in court. So if we get the ticket dismissed and the officer, the judge, overruled the finding of the officer, then you got a chance to data queue the crash report to get it removed. But unless you adjudicated the issue that happened, you can't get it removed. So here's a guy, and I had one of these situations last week. Here's a guy that the officer didn't write a ticket. There was no damage. He didn't write a ticket, but the only thing he did was the accident report, which that went on this driver's record, and it's going to be there for 5 years. And I actually called the DOT, and I now know how to go in and look at that DOT crash report. And the supervisor there at the DOT said, Mr. Reynolds, the only way you can get this report removed is to get your driver to call the police officer and get him to change that from a crash. And so good luck on that. I mean, these police officers most of the time won't change their mind. But he says that's the only way you can get this removed, because you're not adjudicating a ticket. You're just getting the officer to change what he wrote in the accident report. And good luck on getting that done.
Awesome.
Yep. I just don't think it's not reality. You might on some situations, but I'm gonna say 99% of the time you won't get those removed. Now, if it's a ticket and you adjudicated it and the judge overruled the officer, now that one you got maybe some, you can data queue that, the order of dismissal, and hopefully get that removed off the accident report, off of the crash report, because it stays there for 5 years. The ticket stays there for 3 years on the driver and 2 years for the company. The crash report stays on the company and the driver 5 years.
Yeah, that's the example he wanted you to explain, the one you talked about just then. Thank you for that. Yes, sir.
All right, good stuff. We got to get out of here, guys. It's past 9:40. It's about 9:45. So I know we having fun, and I'm glad that you guys are chiming in on this Zoom, and really participating and getting in the chat and talking and engaging, guys. This is really good. Al, you had asked a question about the sole operators. If you give them the group rate, if you got $100 in premium that you can get with that owner operator, getting them, selling them everything, then you can open it up as a group. So if that owner operator gets an $89 small business plan and a CDL plan just themselves, you can make that one owner operator a group. You can actually open it that way. But if you don't open it as a group with $100 in premium, some way, somehow, then the group rates won't count. You can only do group rates if you open it as a group. It's not the amount of bodies, it's the amount of premium. It's really easy in CDLP space to do that when you're selling them an $89 small business plan and then a CDL membership, or
Right.
4 of them, and you sell to the CDLP and the family together to 2 different people. You right at $100 on that as well. So just look at $100 in premium, and Legal Shield would 9 times out of 10 open that group up, and you can give them a group rate.
Yep.
And you can
Dunbar.
go ahead, Sherranda.
So how it is now though, Al, is that, so Dunbar, how it is now is that you can open a group with one app and give them
Yeah.
group rates. You can open a group with one app, give them group rates, and it's a group. You can't qualify for the incentives unless it has $100 on the group. But
That's fine.
corporate, a couple of weeks ago, last month, allowed you now to open a group with
Yep.
one app.
Yes.
So you can open a group with one app, and it's a group on corporate's book, and you can give them group rates, and it's a group, but it's not a qualifying group for incentives unless it has $100 worth of premium. Okay? So
Okay.
you can open a group now with one app. It could be just a CDL. It has to be a company though.
Yeah,
has to be-
LLC is just fine.
Yeah, so the example that Dunbar was using, that owner operator, if he got a tax ID number, you can open him up as a group and give him group benefits. And he's a group, but it's not a qualifying group unless it has $100 worth of premium to go with the incentives that the company is offering. But you can
They'll get the
offer the
benefit.
discounted rates with one app.
Right. Yeah, they'll save the premium. And once we reach 100, if we keep adding benefits, after the $100, they qualify for our benefit of bonuses, etc.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, so corporate say now you can open a group with one app as long
Right.
as it's a company and it's a group, but it doesn't qualify for incentives until you have $100 worth of premium in that group.
Right, got it. Thank you. Appreciate both of you, Robert and Sherranda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're about to close out. Y'all don't get me in trouble. Love y'all.
I know you done brought this platform and you did good, Dunbar. You did good.
Good session.
Here. People asking questions. So, guys, this is it for tonight. Appreciate you guys. And yes, Dan, we do need to have an EIN number. We open it up the group with that company. So make sure you got an EIN number on that group authorization form. Remember the accountability call, guys. Every Thursday with Sherranda Ivey, get plugged into that call. Go to the Facebook page, contact her. Only if you're serious about CDLP. And on the 26th of this month, guys, Sherranda Ivey, Alan Roman, and Chris Seelig, another CDLP online certification to stay plugged into this Zoom. Remember, the Zoom number and the link stays the same every week. You only have to register the first time. So once you register for this Zoom, you can just click on the link and come back in. So just lock the link into your phone or whatever. That way you're not looking for it on Monday. I post it every Monday, but if you already have it, then you're good. Just like the call was. You just dial into the same number. So everything should be good on that. Appreciate all you guys, all the trainers for your help. Randy Hooker for chiming in as well, guys. You guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you guys on next week, Monday.
Thank you, Dunbar.
You got it, guys.
Thank you, guys.